The following is a paid commercial program paid for by American Real Estate Investments, LLC, and does not reflect the opinions or advice of KRLD or Intercom Media Corporation.
Are you wanting to invest in real estate? Get your cowboy hat on and let's talk passive income investing in the real estate market in North Texas. Here's your experts, John Larson and Johnny Collins, and your host, Amanda Guerra.
A very good morning to you and welcome to the Real Estate Cowboys radio show. I'm Amanda Guerra along with John Larson and Johnny Collins, and our goal of this show and every show is to teach you everything you need to know about real estate investing and what is your return on life. Now, normally for our shows, we are focused in and around DFW because the real estate market here is hot. But today we are going to be traveling to another warm place, thinking about maybe investing in real estate somewhere outside the country.
Well, if you know John, you know he's a global real estate guy. He's just not domestic. He's also international. So he's you have to watch yourself with John. He'll have you all over the world.
That's right. Yeah, we are going to be talking about Belize, which is just south of us, south of the United States. And we're going to be talking about why all these celebrities have been vacationing there and looking to invest there. What is it about Belize? Why are these celebrities going there? Celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio, Francis Ford Coppola, Bill Gates, Ringo Starr, Heidi Klum, Cameron Diaz. These people frequent Belize quite often and are also investing down in Belize. So there's a lot of good reasons why, so we're going to touch on that today. We have a great guest on the show, Mr. David Keener, who's also a Dallas resident and a property developer. He's been down in Belize for a number of years, going on 2 decades.
He's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, he is. He's actually also been on HGTV. So he's had that pretty face of his on HGTV. For his island developments that he does, he develops private islands with us down in Belize, and we do like little mini resorts on there. So it's a different type of model. You're diversifying outside of the country, which just goes back to diversification, and not just diversification across property classes, but also diversification in terms of countries, right? And another way that you can kind of limit risk, right? One country's not doing too well. Maybe the U.S. goes through another situation that we went through, hopefully not as bad, but almost a decade ago. Belize could still be going well, and your investments in Belize could still be really doing well for you, or any other country that makes sense outside of the U.S.
And there's a lot of great countries to invest in. I think you guys have just had some phenomenal success in Belize, so why not just another turnkey product, right?
Exactly.
So what I really love about Belize, you know how we talk about in Texas here, specifically in this market, the appreciation is so great. Mm-hmm. So I always say, you can get a good deal in this market, and please don't misconstrue what I'm saying, but just follow me. You can get a good deal in this market and overpay for it just to make sure you secure it.
Right.
And it's the appreciation that kind of saves the day down the road. Now, I don't necessarily advise that you do that because I'm a firm believer in you make the money at the purchase. Like you're going to make money when you buy the house. You should have made money, right?
For sure.
But when you think about the concept of buying a piece of property and overpaying for it just so you can secure it, knowing that appreciation is going to save the day, that is a phenomenal place to be. I think kind of the contrapositive of that in Belize is the cost of living is so low. It's the same concept, just the opposite direction, right?
Exactly.
How have you all kind of benefited from that, and kind of what are some key factors around that, John?
Well, the property cost in Belize, number one, it only averages about $216 a foot, and that's for beachfront property.
Wow.
When you look at like the British Virgin Islands and other areas near Belize, you're at least 3 times that, right? So what you're able to get in Belize is a lot more affordable than a lot of these other vacation destinations around the world, right? The cost to build down there is much cheaper because the dollar is locked in 2-to-1. So if you're a U.S. developer, you're basically getting 50% off all of the materials and the labor costs that you would in the United States down in Belize.
Wow, so that's just another way for you to get a cheap steak, huh?
Pretty much. But it's the only English-speaking country in that hemisphere, right? In that area of the world, in the Caribbean. It's also growing exponentially at almost 2% per year, making it the second fastest growing area in that part of the world. So that's why.
So we're at the forefront right now.
Right, exactly.
This is a great time.
And so what I like to touch on, what I tell many of our investors or people who are interested in Belize, and we actually have a seminar coming up on Belize, which we'll get to details on that at the end of the show. But what I like to tell people is what we see in Southern Belize, in Placencia specifically, because it's still very underdeveloped, but it's on the up and coming.
Sure.
We believe that we have the same opportunity down there that you would have in 1950 in Hawaii, right? Before the big real estate boom out there. Imagine if you could have bought a property for your family back in 1950 in Hawaii, the generational wealth that would create for you. For anybody listening to the show that's a little bit familiar with Belize, there is an area of Belize in northern Belize. It's an island. It's called Ambergris Caye.
Sure.
San Pedro is another common name for it. That was probably the number one area that first started being developed rapidly as a tourist destination and things like that. So Placencia is just right behind that. And what we have in Placencia that I really like is it's a peninsula, like I said, so you still get the inland features of, Mayan ruins, jungle tours, zip lining, things like that. But then you also get the ocean activities of fishing, snorkeling, diving.
So full gamut.
Exactly. So that's personally why I like Placencia. And plus, like I said, it's not overdeveloped yet. So you have an opportunity of getting in, buying land cheap, or getting in on a turnkey development, for an affordable cost, and then you can ride that appreciation upswing. And why I like Belize is because I like to relate it to what we're seeing here in Dallas and Texas specifically. It's the same type of stuff that we're experiencing in this market. A lot of development because there's a lot of new people moving in, and there's an opportunity, like you said, to buy property and get that appreciation from year to year where you're getting that equity growth. I tell all my investors, you need to, whenever you're investing in any market, you need to go see it. You need to go meet the team. You need to go see the actual property that you're purchasing. Well, we do that. Every month, we take people down to Belize on our Discover Belize tours. We can talk about that later, and David's also, I'm sure, going to touch on that. But that gets you an opportunity to come down and see what we're doing.
So really quick, I know our guest is probably going to touch on this, but give an idea to people. What kind of properties down there are they going to be able to invest in? And I know we're going to go more into it coming up.
Yeah, there's a wide range of ownership opportunities. It starts as
on an island.
Yeah, it starts at a fraction, not a timeshare. You share in the ownership with some partners.
Fractional ownership.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can start with that with one of our villas. And then it goes or luxury homes, 5-bedroom, 5-bath luxury homes. And that can go all the way as far as a private island, a fractional share of a private island right off the coast of Placencia, Belize.
Wow. All right. Well, we're going to go all into that with our guest coming up. David Keener is going to be talking everything you need to know about Belize. And like you heard John say, we do have a seminar coming up in just a few days on this. So if you would like to learn more about that, go to bestofbelize.com. Stick around. We're going to be talking much more about it coming up.
Did you know there are 6 different ways real estate pays investors? Are you interested in getting started with real estate investing but just don't know how? Investing in real estate can be challenging, especially if you don't have the time, experience, or resources to do so. At American Real Estate Investments, they do all the hard work for you. They're a DFW-based company that buys homes in great neighborhoods, professionally renovates them, and places business professional tenants in your property. With their program, you can start earning headache-free passive income and equity growth from appreciating values in the fast-growing DFW market. There is no better place in America to invest in real estate today. To learn more about how their investors are earning up to 100% returns or greater with their program, give them a call at 888-323-AREI or visit their website at areiusa.com. That's 888-323-AREI or areiusa.com.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Cowboys radio show. One of our goals here is your return on life. So today, although we love the real estate market in DFW, we are venturing outside of the United States, specifically talking about earning passive income through vacation rentals in Belize. So joining us, we're so excited to have one of our Real Estate Cowboys experts, David Keener. He is one of the founders of Vision Properties. John.
Yep. David Keener has over 25 years of successful business and real estate experience, ranging from large single-family developments here in DFW to successful ventures in technology and healthcare. David first visited Placencia, Belize back in 2001 and has since developed Vision Properties Belize, the premier vacation rental and private island development operation in southern Belize. His work has been featured on HGTV and on the cover of Private Islands magazine. Please welcome to the show, Mr. David Keener.
John, thank you, and good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Of course. So, David, Belize has been growing in popularity recently, but what was it about Belize that caught your eye as a developer almost 20 years ago?
Being a fellow developer here in DFW for many years, mainly focusing on single-family residential lot development, the first time down to Belize, all I saw was wide open land on the beach at a price point that seemed silly compared to certainly Florida, even Galveston for that matter, and certainly the Grand Caymans and Bahamas.
I've been to Belize quite a bit with you, and I see the same thing even today. There's still a lot of room for development. It's not overly saturated, still a lot of opportunity down there, but I'm sure it has come a long way since 20 years ago when you were first down there.
It definitely has in many regards. I mean, the infrastructure, roads, internet, power grid, all that sort of stuff has definitely improved, but certain things have stayed pretty much the way they were that I really like not too crowded, still that kind of wide open feeling, on the front sort of feeling, and obviously great fishing, great diving still continues.
You focus specifically on Placencia, which is in southern Belize. What do you like about Placencia as opposed to other popular destinations in Belize? Like right now, San Pedro seems to be like the go-to destination. What is it about Placencia that you like opposed to an area like San Pedro?
John, Belize is basically broken down into three tourist sectors, if you will. San Pedro, Ambergris Key is by far, certainly when I was there, head and shoulders above any other destination. It's the oldest destination. It's the most, developed. At the time we first came down, Placencia was probably a very distant third. In the time we've been down there, it's rapidly become a solid number 2 behind San Pedro, and certainly from a growth perspective, year-over-year growth is certainly trending toward Placencia being the new spot to be.
Let's talk about the opportunities that got you on HGTV. I really love these. This is the real sexy thing that you guys are doing down in Placencia. The private island developments, or keys as they call them in Belize. What is it about the Belizean keys that make them ideal for small resort-style developments?
Well, John, about 10 years ago, or a little more, I guess, we developed our first beach house. Since then, we've done numerous beach houses. And after doing that, I was kind of looking for, again, something more challenging, more unique. And there was this little, my wife called it a sandbar, and that's pretty much exactly what it was, just about not even a mile offshore from the center of Placencia. Again, to get a bigger challenge, we decided to let's put basically a beach house compound or whatever on this little sandbar, and we turned it into a very, beautiful manicured private island that's now known as Little Harvest Key. It was an aerial shot of that was on our website that the owner of Private Islands magazine and the host of the Island Hunters TV show saw and contacted me wanting to do a show out there. And so that's to make a long story short, that's kind of how we got started. And then since then, me and him have become friends. We've actually done an island together here recently called Gladden Key, which was also featured on a follow-up kind of grand finale for the series even, a show that aired last September. One of the other unique features about Placencia is that obviously Belize has the barrier reef, second biggest in the world, World Heritage Site, all that. But around Placencia, it's about 18 miles offshore. So from 18 miles all the way back to the shoreline of Placencia, there's kind of an inner reef system with small islands dotting the landscape. Very protected sort of seas. You don't get the large rollers like you do because the barrier reef knocks it down. So it's much more navigable. It's people that get seasick really don't have to worry about going out to one of the islands unless the weather's just really bad. But on a typical day, it's just not an issue. And so that was an attractive thing. The islands can range anywhere, I guess, in size from, maybe up to 40, 50 acres, but on average, probably 4 to 1.5 acres, something like that is sort of a typical size. Many of these islands are, very mangroved, and so they require a lot of fill. Some of the ones that we just kind of doing a project right now called Canoe, which is actually one of the few hard coralled islands that we're doing a little 2-acre, kind of similar concept to Little Harvest, only it's 6 miles offshore versus being right in town, basically.
I would imagine there's people listening to the show that are thinking, okay, who rents these islands? What is the profile of one of your renters that comes to you and rents, Little Harvest Key, for a week? What type of renter is that?
I assumed it would be a similar profile and type person who would rent our 5-6 bedroom beach houses, which would be large families, multi-families that are traveling together, some wedding traffic, just at a higher price point because it's more exclusive, and in this case, we're offering more services out on the islands. And for the most part, that big house buyer has been a similar transfer over. But the wedding traffic has really been a big one, even some corporate events. We have a new island called the Enclave that was actually, through Chris's kind of suggestions with private islands, a little bit more focused toward corporate kind of retreats and some training. We actually added an air-conditioned kind of media/training room, which none of our other properties have, and just have more room so we can handle larger groups and larger weddings and larger family reunions, things like that.
How often are these islands leased, and what is the average rental rate right now for one of these private islands?
The range of services, young people want to be close to town, some people want privacy, some people may want a nice combination in the middle. And so the price points afforded to the islands and the occupancy has been very strong for all the properties that are of ours, but especially the islands.
So just to touch on, you kind of touched on the utilities there a little bit. How's the internet access out there? I'm sure people are wondering that. How is the internet access on a private island, David?
You'd be shocked, but people want to go 20 miles offshore and have no one around for, as far as you can see. One of the first questions they ask is, how is the internet? And even out there at Gladden Key, 20 miles offshore, we have a very stable and good internet system that's on a point-of-sale sort of tower that's been very reliable, very fast. And then on the mainland, the internet continues to improve with multiple carriers now. And the reliability it's getting to where it is here in Dallas. It's still got a little ways to go, but very good.
All right, David, now let's discuss a very important part of this whole process. So when these owners aren't using the property, the reason why I like vacation rentals so much, it's because you can use these properties when you want, and when you don't, you can rent them out and get cash flow from the opportunity. Let's talk about the management solution. So when these owners are away, can you explain the role of your management company and what role they play in the whole process? What are they responsible for, and why are they such a valuable asset to your owners?
Well, John, having a well-managed asset that's properly maintained, when somebody shows up, everything's working, they get picked up at the airport on time in one of our vans by one of our staff, that the chef's food quality and everything is like you would expect in a really 4 or 5 star restaurant here. It's kind of a critical piece of the formula. And so especially with the internet now and reviews and all this, you have to have a 5-star rating. Our properties have done an excellent job over the past, really 7-8 years of having a 5-star rating, having good reviews on all the websites, which in my opinion leads to them staying and keeping full from an occupancy standpoint.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I've stayed in the properties, and every time, I go cave tubing or I go zip lining, I come back, my room is pristine. The food, Domingo, he's a great cook down there, great chef. Every time I have a meal from him, it's very well prepared. So yeah, I've had a great experience staying in the properties, so I can definitely attest to the management side.
All right, guys, well, it all sounds amazing, and we have to take a quick break, but if you would like to learn more about Belize, in the meantime, just head to bestofbelize.com. Again, we have a seminar coming up on May 8th. We'll be right back.
Looking to complete a 1031 tax-deferred exchange and are needing financing for your replacement properties? Let Graham Parham at Highlands Residential Mortgage guide you through the process and make your 1031 exchange go smoothly and on time. As a seasoned investor, Graham owns several investment properties himself, and he can share with you the best way to plan your exchange. Graduate into a better property or properties and make use of leverage to obtain better cash flow and higher returns on investment. Highlands Residential Mortgage has one of the best in-house loan processes to deliver your loan on time and without any surprises. We are 1031 exchange friendly. Call Graham's toll-free direct number today at 855-326-6802 for your free mortgage consultation, or visit us online at texasinvestorloans.com. Highlands is an equal opportunity lender, NMLS 195724, located 1201 North Central Expressway, Dallas, Texas, 75234. Highlands Residential Mortgage, NMLS 134871, is not a financial advisor.
The following program has been paid for by American Real Estate Investments, LLC. All opinions expressed on this program are solely the opinions of American Real Estate Investments, LLC, and do not reflect the opinions of KRLD or Intercom Media Corporation. You should not treat any opinion expressed on the program as a specific inducement to follow a particular strategy regarding real estate financing or investment. And before acting on information on the program, you should seek advice from your own financial, tax, mortgage, or real estate advisor.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Cowboys radio show. We've been talking this morning, stepping outside Texas. We've been talking about real estate investing in Belize. How amazing does that sound? Joining us on the show today is David Keener. If you are interested, you can head to his website, bestofbelize.com. And David works closely, of course, with John Larson here. So, David, you've been telling us about some of the properties that you have in Belize.
One thing that is important to kind of note is that with the exception of Gladden, which Gladden is truly a 6-star, 100% all-inclusive, from fishing to diving to food, wine. But except for Gladden, this are our properties, even the other islands, are really a vacation home rental. And so they're not marketed as a resort. And so what is the difference? Well, the difference is really the price that our renters pay compared to the nightly rates at a resort. In reality, they're still getting probably the same services as they are, but from our standpoint, the expectations are set a lot lower. So when they actually get there, they're getting way more than they expected, and so they're very happy because they feel like they're getting a great value, which is what I really think is a key factor. Is that we set expectations to be a vacation home rental. They get there and it's like, wow, this is better than 99% of the resorts I've stayed at, and they want to come back and they tell their friends. And we actually just had a renter at Little Harvest. This is a kind of a little anecdotal side story, is that they actually heard about Little Harvest at baggage claim. I don't remember what airport it was at, but at one of the major hubs in the U.S., and somebody was getting their bags, and they were hugging each other, saying goodbye, what a great vacation. They were going on and on about it, and the people actually went up to them and asked them, well, where did y'all just come from? Because I want to go there. And they just did. They were there last week.
Yeah, and Little Harvest is the first private island development that you did in Placencia.
Correct.
Okay. So we focused a lot on the private islands here. I wanted to touch on that because that, to me, it just blows me away still, the opportunities that we have out there on the private island side. But there's a lot of different ownership opportunities that you have in Placencia. Tell us a little bit more about the different ownership. Tell us a little bit more about the different ownership opportunities that are available.
Well, John, over the last couple of years, we've really, again, expanded into the islands 2 or 3 years ago. We've just taken over a new condominium project that's brand new, right in the center of the village. It's full ownership and with some fractional opportunities as well. We're in the midst of, literally just yesterday, they started redoing the road to a just amazing jungle property up on the Hummingbird Highway, and one of the most pristine rainforests left on the planet. And we're going to keep it that way and just have very limited impact with very high-end home sites and a small kind of 5-star jungle resort, which is kind of the next trend as I see for Belize.
And will that be based on a fractional, or is that a full ownership opportunity?
That's going to be a combination of both, mainly full and with some fractional opportunity, yes.
Gotcha.
And then obviously the beach houses is kind of how we got started, so we continue to do that. But our goal was to truly try to find an option for a wider market than we were just seeing before. So from beach lots with a marina in the back to fractional beach homes, fractional islands, full beach homes, full islands, condominiums, fractional condominiums, and this amazing jungle property I was just talking about.
And then lots as well, right? You're offering lots?
We do have a few lots that are kind of a very unique offering, especially for the boater crew, where they can be on a private island, have a marina in their backyard, and open sea and beach views in their front yard.
Yeah, wow.
For around $200,000, you can't beat that.
Yeah, no, you can't. That is so cool. Okay, so we talked about fractionals a little bit. Just in case someone's listening to the show and is not familiar with the fractional model, can you elaborate on that a little bit and also explain how it's different from a timeshare? Many times when I'm speaking to people and I talk about the fractional ownership opportunity, they look at me kind of with a weird face and then they say, you mean a timeshare?
Well, again, I try to build things that I would want myself. And so I first ask myself, hey, is this something that you would buy or you would invest in and you'd feel good about if you were looking at it? A timeshare makes no financial sense. Never seen one that did. So this is completely different than a timeshare. It's truly more of a partnership would be a better way to put it, because that's really what it is. And that basically 10 people, 4 people, depending on the property, but the structure, but let's just call it a group of people own the percentage of that home. They have true ownership in the entity that owns it. They have true management control. They can get rid of us tomorrow if the majority wants to, and bring whoever they want to manage it, including themselves for that matter. Well, that's not happened because I think our rates are very good and our service is even better. They certainly have that choice, which is a key. Not that you want to do it, but just having the ability to do it makes it completely different than the really fee-based timeshare models and even some fractional models that you hear that are really just timeshares with a different disguise.
Gotcha. And one thing that I can say, I mean, you're building million-dollar, multi-million-dollar beach homes on the mainland, and you're also building developing multi-million-dollar private island opportunities. And through the fractional model, you can make this more affordable than what people think.
Well, it's also more affordable, it's also more logical, and it's also more risk adverse. And the last part to me was the critical thing, is that if you own $1 million beach house, well, kind of how we got into this, you felt like you had to go use it because it was just sitting there. You had to rent it if you didn't because you had 52 weeks a year that you haven't used. You needed some rental income. Whereas this just basically divides that amongst. It gives the owners a chance to use it. Most of our owners will go down 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks a year. So this is not a full-time, this is not a 6-month sort of, Florida seasonal property. This is a true vacation property and as it relates to the fractional models. But one that when you go down, everything's ready for you. The staff is trained. They're there. The house is spotless. The car in the driveway, they hand you the keys, and it's got gas in it, and the oil's been changed. And you're not having to mess around with all this stuff that you really hate to do at home. And the only thing worse than having to do at home would have to be doing it at your vacation house.
Right. And so another thing I could say is I've stayed in a lot of these properties, and one thing that stands out to me is the quality of the buildings. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit more on what goes into actually developing these properties and developing these private islands from a quality standpoint?
Well, again, going back to a long history here in this market of doing single-family development and even home building, we designed the first home maybe a little more like a Dallas home than I would want it to be. And so over time, we've adapted, and the plans that we're building are really geared toward the rental market that we've seen, that we know, and what works from what people want, what works from how many people are using the house, and then certainly from a maintenance standpoint. I mean, most of our houses down there, for example, one of them has a whole third floor is the master suite. Well, here in Texas, if you have a master on the second floor, you might as well just made your house hard to sell. But it's different because we're not living in a house in Dallas. We're going on vacation. People want things that are different. They'd rather have that, panoramic view of out the deck over top of the ocean and the breeze and all that. And so all that stuff has been continually reprocessed based on feedback, based on what's been working great, and adapted, certainly in the beach houses and even with the islands. Now we're on island number 4, and we're certainly making some changes from what we did on island number 1. Again, I just told you one of them was we added some rooms. We added a media room, trying to serve a little bit bigger and different market, yet still take care of the people that that we've already have a product for.
Right, makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about what the cost is of the tour. I know you make it pretty affordable for qualified investors to come down and see the opportunities that you have down in Belize and just check out Placencia as a whole. And I'm with you. I would never invest in something that I didn't see myself. And obviously it's very important to know the team that you're working with because honestly, it's really the team that makes these things perform for you. So what is the cost, and is there any discount? I've been nudging you for the Real Estate Cowboys listeners out there. What is the cost of the tour?
Well, typically we charge $12.95. Which includes everything once you land in Belize City. So that's, local flights from Belize City down to Placencia, that alone is like $225.
Right.
All your food, when we go out to dinner at the restaurants, we'll have some meals at one of the houses or one of our other properties. Your trip I was just talking about out to the island, so out on boating trip, out snorkeling. One thing I neglected to mention was we do go to the waterfall that's right by the house too. That's included and beautiful and only 15 minutes away. And then we pick you up at the airport down in Placencia, get you back. So all your transfers, all your meals, all your activities included until you get back to Belize City Airport.
Awesome. And so what are we doing an offering for
Yeah.
You mentioned that.
And I'll just go ahead and say. And again, John, for your listeners, if they sign up and get reserved, mention your show when they call in or email us in, then we've dropped that to $9.95.
Wow. So anybody interested in going on these tours, and like I said, space is limited. They only take up to 10 couples at a time on these tours. If you go to visionpropertiesbelize.com and just let us know that you heard this opportunity on the Real Estate Cowboys radio show, you're going to get a discount to $9.95. So it's a great offering. I appreciate that, David. So yeah, once again, anybody interested in taking advantage of a Discover Belize tour for a Real Estate Cowboys discount of $9.95 per couple, go to visionpropertiesbelize.com. And you can also see a bunch of photos of the opportunities that are down there in Placencia, Belize, the private islands, the homes. So you can see the quality that we've been talking about on the show. There's a ton of examples on there. So visionpropertiesbelize.com.
And if you're really bored, there's links to the 2 TV shows on Island Hunters on our homepage.
There you go. All right, so we also have an awesome event that's coming up. It's the Best of Belize event. There, I'm going to be the keynote speaker of that event. David will also be there speaking about the opportunities that we have in Belize. We just touched on a few different things here today on the show, but if you're really interested in this opportunity, I definitely recommend coming to this free event. It's right here in our studio ballroom, located just outside of downtown. There's more information on how to register for the event. It's Tuesday, May 8th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. You can find out more information and where to and register for the event at bestofbelize.com. Once again, bestofbelize.com. So make sure you go to that website and reserve your spot because space is limited for that as well. So that is May 8th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Go to bestofbelize.com to register. David, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
John, a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Attention beach lovers, discover how affordable it can be to own a luxury beach home or your own private island in breathtaking Belize. The New York Times recently rated Placencia, Belize as one of the top places to visit. It is possible to own a luxury villa, condo, or a private island for a fraction of the cost you might think. Belize is becoming one of the top places for Americans to retire abroad. It is full of majestic beauty from the beaches to the mountains and the barrier reef. Find out how their islands came to be featured on HGTV's Island Hunters and how you can leverage your retirement funds to own a piece of paradise. If you've ever considered owning a luxury beach home or your own private island, contact American Real Estate Investments today to learn more or book a trip to see for yourself on one of their upcoming Discover Belize tours. Space on these tours is limited. Call today, 214-669-6106, or visit the website at areibelize.com.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Cowboys radio show. Hope you guys have had a good weekend so far. And if you're thinking about, we've been talking about Belize this whole time, and in the spring and the summer is a great time to start thinking about that, especially when it comes to real estate investing. So let's wrap up kind of what we've been talking about this whole time.
No, I think that's you're exactly right. I mean, David nailed it. I mean, I'll be frank with you. Again, you've been trying to drag me to Belize for I don't know how long now, but what do I need to do next? Like, what's my next step, John?
Next step would be to join us on a Discover Belize tour. Come on down there. I go on the tours a lot of times. David is down there on the tours.
I mean, I know you go out. I mean, you're always telling me that's where you're at. So
right. So he obviously has a wealth of knowledge. You heard a portion of it today on the interview, but I'm a big see it to believe it type of person. Sure. And so, if you live in the Dallas area or the Houston area, it's a very, very short flight for you.
How long is it?
From Dallas, 2.5 hours. From Houston, it's about 2 hours. That's all.
Wow.
And so more and more major airlines are flying into Belize, so it's making it a lot more convenient for people around the entire country to make it to Belize. And actually, I saw a stat that Belize is within 5 hours of 60% of the population.
Well, I know this. It takes longer to get to Vegas.
Yeah, it does. It's exactly true. And so, you also have to look at, tourism in that area is up 20%. Yeah. So that just means more and more people are going, which is why the airlines are flying in. So it's the same thing for me if I'm going to analyze a market here domestically. A good metric to use is how many U-Hauls are being dropped off in these cities, right? What's the cost to drop a U-Haul off in Dallas as opposed to take a U-Haul out? I'm guaranteeing it's more expensive to take a U-Haul here, right? So it's the same thing with airlines. When you're looking at a vacation opportunity, you're looking to invest in another country, see how many flights are going in, see how many major airlines fly to these areas. And when you look at a country like Belize, 5 years ago, there weren't as many airlines flying in that there are now. And Southwest is big here in Dallas and Houston.
Sure.
Southwest just announced that they started flying to Belize it was only 2 years ago.
Well, I'm going to tell you, that's really high-level thinking. I'm looking at the stuff here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff for my children to do. There's good food. The small things are in place to really enjoy, even as a family. I think that's what's really turning me on about this right now. So I look forward to, I guess, going down there with you. I'm gonna take a tour myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's every month, and we only take 6 couples down. It's not a big sales pitch seminar type of thing.
Laid back.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for you to go experience it with your family. And like I said, I mean, if it's a good investment, it should sell itself to a smart person, educated person, right?
Yeah.
There is no reason to sell anybody into this opportunity. But I do like Belize because with the rising prices that we're seeing here in America and in our own market, this is an opportunity to get you something that's an affordable price, that will cash flow. When you don't want to use it, it's professionally managed by our team. They're gonna put renters in there that are gonna pay you rent each week, and you're gonna cash flow off that investment. And when you do want to use it, you have the option to go down and use it as well with your family.
So, John, now you said you only take 6 couples per month. So is this something where if you're interested in this, you should really take advantage of it and sign up now?
Yeah, absolutely. You can just go to our website. The easiest way is just to go to realestatecowboysdfw.com. And there's a little drop down there on the front page. You put in your name, phone number, a way for us to reach you. And then you could just say, I'm interested in the Discover Belize tour, and the necessary parties will reach out to schedule that for you.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, it's time of the week, as if you're not hopefully relaxed enough just thinking about Belize, to turn it over to Johnny Collins for his weekly words of motivation. Johnny.
It's crazy because as we talk about Belize and owning a piece of paradise, that's not something that's an easy undertaking from the standpoint of preparation. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is accountability. How are we holding ourselves accountable? And not just to our employers or to our organizations, but how are we holding ourselves accountable to ourselves? What do you believe in? Is what you believe in big enough to hold you accountable? What I mean by that is as I prepare to go on this trip to Belize, I know that there's an opportunity for me to go and purchase something that'll be in my family. Or be with my family forever if that's what we choose to do. But it's not a small undertaking. It's a big deal. And I want to make sure that I'm ready and I'm prepared. And luckily for me, we've had the opportunity to be in the workforce for some time, and we've done well. We've saved our money. We've been accountable to principles that have allowed us to amass some extra, is what I'll call it. And all extra is options and opportunity. So how many of you are doing what it takes to make sure you can take advantage of options and opportunity? A lot of us aren't. For those of you that are, congratulations. But for those of you that are not, I want to talk to you. First off, I want to tell you it's never too late to prepare. It's never too late to start doing the things and living by a set of principles that allow you to establish equity in life. I love John's coin on the phrase return on life, but I also love his phrase equity in life. And the only way you build equity in life is to do the things that's going to allow you to participate when everybody, in places where everybody can't participate. And that's by being accountable to your work, being accountable to your family, and being accountable to your goals. So let me give you a couple of categories that I really love dealing with. The first one I love dealing with is emotional management. So we always think about accountability from a financial perspective, but sometimes we need to own it and think about it from our own personal perspectives. If you're arguing with someone about which direction the sun is going to set and which direction it's going to rise, that's just an argument I wouldn't have. Because at the end of the day, the sun is going to rise and it's going to set in the same direction. So stop wasting your time with that argument. If you're arguing with someone around petty things like which direction the wind is going to blow, it's the same argument. But if you're arguing with your spouse about money issues, that's something that you can change. And that comes from sitting down, putting a plan in place. And a lot of us have proven that we don't have necessarily the discipline to do it. So you need to bring in some help. Bring in someone that can help you organize your life to where you can put a plan in place, you stay steadfast to it and accountable to it, and you'll slowly but surely start to see changes that will allow you to participate in opportunities, right, and choices, resources. So today, just make sure that your accountability is in the place where it needs to be. Don't allow yourself to be all over the place. Don't allow yourself to be confused in your own house. Be accountable to yourself. Be accountable to the principles of life, and make sure you're following principles that lead to good and not bad. It's funny because as we embark on this Real Estate Cowboys journey, our number one objective is to make sure people know that we are creating a safe place where you can come and get all of the information that you need in order to do something that's profitable, in order to do something that's going to allow you to get a great return on your investment and a return on your time. So remember, accountability is the word of the week. Take a good hard look in the mirror and make sure you're accountable.
All right. And you know how you can hold yourself accountable? Coming to the seminar.
That's right.
Because we really would like you guys to come to the seminar. John, give us a little bit more information about it before we have to let everybody go for the day.
Yeah, the seminar is actually going to be here at the KRLD 1080 headquarters. We have a performance ballroom right there on the first level. So you're going to be able to meet David Keener. I will be there. I'll be the keynote speaker at that event. And we'll just be talking more about the opportunities that we have there, give you some more information on the tours. These tours fill up very quickly. Like I said, we only take 6 couples. Anything more than that starts to get a little uncomfortable. We want it to be kind of an intimate setting. It's definitely something that any interested people who are listening to the show should definitely check out.
So if you are interested, one more time, that seminar, again, it is going to be Tuesday, May 8th from 7 to 8:30 here in the Intercom building, the KRLD studios, which is right off Fitzhugh and 75. But we do ask that you go ahead and register ahead of time because spaces are limited. And I think, John, there's going to be food and some drinks as well.
And we're going to be serving you some food and some drinks also at the event. So we want to make sure that you register for the event, so we make sure we have enough food and drinks for everybody. And the website is bestofbelize.com. It's very simple to register there. bestofbelize.com.
All right, well, come meet John and Johnny. Get your information on Belize. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We hope you've had a good day. And also go to Real Estate Cowboys at DFW if you just want to learn more about investing in real estate, specifically here in DFW. Hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend.
Get your cowboy hat on and talk passive income investing in the real estate market in North Texas every Sunday morning at 8 here on KRLD with your experts, John Larson and Johnny Collins, and your host, Amanda Guerra.
The preceding was a paid commercial program paid for by American Real Estate Investments, LLC, and does not reflect the opinions or advice of KRLD or Intercom Media Corporation.